Okay, so next up, we're going to start multiplying. So we're going to slow down a little bit and only work on multiplication tomorrow. Another day will be division because it does get a little bit harder here. Sometimes we're just not the best at multiplication and division. And remember, we're handling lots of different numbers. So remember, our target is to be adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing multiple digit decimals. Okay, so lots of numbers with decimals in there. Okay, trying to move myself here. Now, a level 2.0 would be, do we remember just how to multiply? Okay, so let's start out by reviewing that. I know some of you have been reviewing this in intervention, so this is going to go super quick. So 6 times 3, 18. 6 times 2 is 12, plus the one we carried is 13. Carry another one. 6 times 1 is 6, plus the one I carried that time is 7. Now, I do want to go ahead and add one here and talk about what do we do when we add a digit on the second number. Okay, so remember, this is where we have to take and multiply the 6 times everything first. So I'm going to do that multiplication that I've highlighted in blue first. And I already know the answer to that. I know it's 738. Now, once I'm done with the 6, I have to think about taking 1 times those numbers. But remember where the 1 is in our place value. It's not just $1 if this was money. It's actually $10 because the 1 is in the tens position. This is the tens. That means I can't have an answer here in the ones because I have no ones. They start out with tens. So this is where we put a 0 to hold the place value. That 0 is also called a trailing 0. We're using it to hold a place value. Now I can take 1 times 3, which is 3, 1 times 2, which is 2, 1 times 1, which is 1. Now, if it helps you to think about it, that's 10 times 3, which would be 30, 10 times 20, which would be 200, and 10 times 100, which would be 1,000. Okay. Now we take these two things. Remember, they're called partial products. They're part of the product, but they're not the entire product. We will get that when we add. 8 plus 0 is 8, 3 plus 3 is 6, 7 plus 2 is 9, and 1 plus nothing is 1. Okay, so ordinarily we would do 1,968. Now, there's just really a couple, this is really the hardest part. The decimal part is super simple. We're going to take a look at that at the next slide. Now, this is really the same problem. Okay, so we're going to start off practicing with just one digit in the bottom. And I want you to notice I took 123 and I changed it to 12 and 3/10 by having a decimal. And honestly, we are already right to a 3.0. Okay, so we kind of already know the answer to this, but then we also don't know the answer. So let's try it again. 6 times 3 is 18. 6 times 2 is 12. Plus the 1 is 13. Carry the 1 again. 6 times 1 is 6. Plus this one is 7. Now, here's the only other thing you have to remember with decimals. We look at the numbers and we see there's a decimal right here. All you have to do is ask yourself, how many numbers are there behind the decimal or to the right? And we see right here, there's one number 3. Okay, so there's one number behind the decimal. In our answer or our product, we're going to start at the very back and we're going to move the decimal to the left however many times we just said. However many numbers are behind the decimal in the problem that we're working, that's how many times we move it. So remember, we said there was one number, the number 3, behind the decimal. So we're going to move our decimal one time in our product or answer. So the decimal answer is 73 and 8/10. Okay, now this is the same problem. So I'm going to go ahead and write 738 because I know that's the multiplication of it. Okay, the only thing that's changing is where the decimal is. So let's take a look. How many numbers are behind the decimal this time? I see a 2 and a 3. So how many is that? 1, 2. There's 2 numbers. Now, if there was more numbers behind the decimal here, I would just add to that. So let's think about it. We know there are 2 numbers behind the decimal. So I'm going to start at the back of my product or answer, and I'm going to move it once, twice to the left. So our answer this time is 7 38/100. Last one. Same number. So I know the digits are going to be 7, 3, and 8. But what's the difference? Let's take a look. I have 1, 2, 3 numbers behind the decimal. So that means I'm going to start down here on the far right, and I'm going to move it once, twice, 3 times. So my decimal actually goes in front of all the numbers. And so just to kind of make it adhere to a really high level of learning, we want to get used to putting a 0 in front of that decimal. And when you get into science and other math classes, it helps to have that 0 so that the decimal doesn't get lost. Okay, so now on your PowerPoint slides that I printed for you, there's 3 of them for you to try. Now, if you'll notice, these look a little bit harder. So I'm going to do the first one with you because we do have 2 digits here. So remember, I'm going to start off with taking 6 times this entire number. So 6 times 6 is 36. 6 times 3 is 18, 19, 20, 21. Added the 3. 6 times 5 is 30, plus the 2 is 32. 6 times 2 is 12, plus the 3 is 15. Now, we're done with that, but remember the 2, I'm ignoring the decimal right now, by the way. I forgot to say that. I don't care about the decimals. If it helps you to rewrite the problem without the decimals, you can do that. Now I'm going to take the 2 or the 20 times everything, so I have to hold the place value, even though there's decimals. 2 times 6 is 12, carry the 1. 2 times 3 is 6, plus the 1 is 7. 2 times 5 is 10, carry the 1. 2 times 2 is 4, plus that 1 is 5. So now I don't have to worry about this 0. I'm just adding up these 2 partial products. 6 plus 0 is 6. 1 plus 2 is 3. 7 plus 2 is 9. 5 plus 0 is 5. 1 plus 5 is 6. Now we go back and think about the decimal. In the first number, I see a 3 and a 6 behind the decimal. So that's 2 numbers behind the decimal. In the second number, I have 1, a 2, and a 6 behind the decimal. That's 2 more. So that's a total of 4 numbers behind the decimal. So that means I start over here and I count 1, 2, 3, 4. And that is where your decimal lands. Okay, you try the last 2 using that as an example. Okay, and I'm just going to talk through this one. So you can pause me and do it by yourself if you want to. If you feel like you need someone to kind of talk you through it, okay, I want you to do the writing. I'm not going to write anything. I'm just going to talk it through. I start out by taking 2 times 3, which is 6, 2 times 1, which is 2, 2 times 2, which is 4. I go down to the next line and add a 0 to hold my place value. Now I'm multiplying 1 times everything. 1 times 3 is 3. 1 times 1 is 1. 1 times 2 is 2. I'm done multiplying, so now I'm going to draw a line and add those 2 partial products, going down and adding, carrying if you need to. When you get done with that, let's count up how many numbers are to the right of the decimal. I see a 3 in this number, that's 1. And then in this number, I have a 1 and a 2. So that's 2 more for a total of 3. I'm going to go down to my answer, start on the right-hand side, and count over 1, 2, 3, and put my decimal. Okay, see if you can do this one all by yourself. Pause, finish those, show me before you move on. The next thing I'm going to address in this video is if you will go to your math book and look for this page. What I like about this page is it gives you instructions at the top. Decimal multiplication. Align the numbers at the right. You don't have to line up the decimal. That was just adding and subtracting. Putting the longer number on the top is helpful. I agree with that. Then you multiply, ignoring the decimals, and then you're going to count how many total digits follow the decimal in the numbers being multiplied. The decimal point in the answer should have that many digits following it. So you move it over. So I'm going to work this one, and then I'm going to have you guys work. Okay, so I have 0.12 times 4.5. Remember, parentheses means multiplication. Okay, so I'm going to do 0.12 and 4.5. 5 times 2 is 10. 5 times 1 is 5, plus the 1 is 6. 5 times 0 is 0. Done with the 5. So I'm moving to the 4 here to multiply by, but I have to hold the place value. 4 times 2 is 8. 4 times 1 is 4. 4 times 0 is 0. Now, did I have to do that 0? I didn't. I was just doing that to show you guys. Let's add them up. 0 plus 0 is 0. 6 plus 8 is 14. Carry the 1. 1 plus 4 is 5. And I'm going to go ahead and bring that 0 down because I might need it. I'm not for sure. It depends on where the decimal goes. So now let's go back, and I'm going to highlight in yellow the numbers that are behind the decimal. I have a 1. I have a 2. And I have a 5. Those are all on the right-hand side of the decimal. They are less than 1. How many are there? Okay, I counted 3. Did you get 3? Awesome. So now our last step is to go down to our answer. I'm starting over here on the right, and I'm going to move the decimal 1, 2, 3 times, and then that's where I put it in the answer. Okay, I'm going to get you started on this one by setting it up for you. Okay. And I'll do this one. Now remember, it said to put the longest number on the top. So that's why I didn't write the 8.2 first. Oh, look, this is the longest one here. I had to start writing it that way because I didn't even know how many numbers there were there. That's a lot. Okay, there, I got you set up. Now see what you can do. Okay, do one thing at a time. Raise your hand and have me check, and then I have more things for you to practice. Okay, good luck.